but it accidentally exploded while in transit in an auto to evade police net. Police tracked down the victim whose Aadhaar identity was used by the passenger allegedly carrying the explosives.
PSI ಇದು ಸಬ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟರ್ದಿಂದ ಇದು ಕಾಲ್ ಬಂತು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಎನ್ಕ್ವೈರಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯಿತು, ಇದು ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರಿ ಏನಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇಮ್ ಎನ್ಕ್ವೈರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ, ಫೋಟೋ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನಂದು ಫೋಟೋಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ಪಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಎನ್ಕ್ವೈರಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾರ್ಕಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಡು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನನಗೆ.
On Sunday, a 4-member team of NIA from Bengaluru reached the accident spot to probe the blast. Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai assured stern action.
ಈಗ ಪ್ರಾಥಮಿಕ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅದೊಂದು LED ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪರಿಶೋಧನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗ್ತದೆ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಯಾವ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಡೂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಟ್ ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದ, ಹುಬ್ಳಿ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದ.
Cops suspect a rerun of the Coimbatore attack, where a car rigged with explosives allegedly by suicide attacker Jamisha Mubin had blown up. A statewide alert has been sounded in Karnataka at crucial installations including the airport, railway stations, temples and crowded spots.
Presented by CoinDCX, your gateway to crypto.
Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. Concerns over fresh lockdown in China spooks investors. Sensex down 500 points, Nifty 148 points. IT and energy sectors are the big laggards. Fund manager Rajiv Thakkar warns of high valuations in stock markets, tells Business Today TV that investors should focus on the consumption sector. Says a market rally is unlikely now. Government acts against the fake review menace. Consumer Affairs Ministry all set to release guidelines to stop cyber fraud on e-commerce websites. Industry body CII asks for an income tax cut in next year's budget to boost consumption, wants the government to accelerate its divestment program. Fresh turbulence for Jet Airways as creditors look to sell 11 of its aircraft, see little chance of payments after the airline sent a third of its staff on leave. The first day of the new week was not kind to markets, with benchmark indices ending on a weak note for the third consecutive session. Concerns over surging COVID-19 cases in China weighed heavily on investor sentiment. Among sectors, information technology and energy were the biggest laggards, while stocks of media companies gained the most. Automobile stocks fell for the fourth straight day. While the Sensex was down 500 points, Nifty was also down 150 odd points. Few gainers, BPCL, Bharti Airtel, Axis Bank, IndusInd and HUL. But on the downside, ONGC, Adani Ports, Hindalco, HDFC, Reliance lending pressure on the index today. Our global business editor Udayan Mukherjee joining us now. Udayan, today we did see a little bit of a correction coming in. I guess one could call it sideways profit booking. Perhaps there's no major cut given the recent highs that we've seen. But nonetheless, markets have now been treading water with a slight negative bias for the last week, 10 days.
Yes, and I think the market's dithering a little bit, Abha, more than anything else, globally and locally, because we've run up quite a bit. The Nifty's flirting with its previous high of 18,300. So you can understand a little bit of hesitancy creeping into the market, and there's nothing wrong with that. So as you said, there's a little bit of profit taking happening. Yet the market's not given up a lot of ground. There's no violent correction which has crept in yet. It's still basically toing and froing between 18,000 and 18,300. And at this point, we can only call it consolidation after the rally. In any case, as we were speaking about last time, I think volatility is too low globally and locally at this point to support a major rally. But I think chances are that the market pulls back a little bit more, maybe volatility spikes a little bit, and that gives you the kind of slight fleshing out ground for the rally to move ahead once again. But I think at these levels of volatility, to think of major rallies going forward might be a little optimistic. So I'm not surprised at the kind of treading of water, as you mentioned, which the market's going through at this point in time. And the resolution will probably be global. The US market has also been up and down. It's appearing a bit tired. There too, the VIX is quite low. And if we see a bigger move in the US market, I think that will probably lead the Indian market here, because earnings are through and there are no major global local triggers at this point in time. And I think in the absence of any major trending move in the market, a lot of the attention could be in some of these new age digital stocks. And the news flow there has not been great. I'm not very enamored of the Nykaa bonus issue, which was announced evidently to prevent a fall in the stock price. And that has not worked out well and has led to a lot of backlash on the street. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Nykaa go back and retest its 165 level, which is its near-term low, in the foreseeable future. I'm not very enthused about the news flow which is coming through on Zomato, where a lot of the key people from the core group, founding group, are beginning to leave the company. And at the same time, we've seen a bounce back in the beaten down policy bazaar. So I think a lot of things are happening in the digital space, but overall the market's probably just about digesting its recent gains and waiting for fresh global cues.
Goldman Sachs has slashed India's GDP forecast for 2023 to 5.9%. According to the investment bank, the Indian economy is likely to lose momentum next year due to high interest rates. The estimate has been slashed by 100 basis points from the growth estimate of 6.9% this year. Goldman expects inflation to ease to 6.1% from 6.8%. And earlier, global ratings agency Moody's had also cut India's 2023 GDP estimate to 4.8% from 5.2% earlier. Udayan and I also spoke with Rajiv Thakkar, CIO and Director, PPFAS Asset Management, for our Market Guru segment. Listen in.
Hello and welcome to this Markets Today special. I'm Udayan Mukherjee. With me is Abha Bakaya, and our guest today on the show is a successful fund manager, mutual fund manager with a very strong track record, Rajiv Thakkar, CIO and Director of PPFAS Fund Management. Rajiv, great to have you on the show. I want to start by asking you a little bit about global investing as well, because you were one of the early mutual fund houses which offered investors the choice of owning international stocks as well. I mean, you had a strong domestic portfolio, but with some of the large technology names. How is that proposition doing now in the light of the fact that the Nasdaq's gone through such a significant correction over the last few months?
Thanks for having me, Udayan. Obviously, last 1 year has been tough given the big fall in the US tech stocks more specifically, and overall the US markets. Indian markets are close to all-time highs, whereas US markets are or US stocks are anywhere down between 25 to 40% in that range broadly. So last 1 year has been tough, but if we look at it over, let's say, a 3 years kind of cycle, one of these schemes that invests only in India and the FlexiCap fund, which is India plus US kind of mix, both are at very similar return levels. So not much of a difference in that sense.
Right. Now, my question is not so much about the past, but it's about the future, because, you know, till about a year back when the Nasdaq was doing so well, a lot of Indian investors wanted to be in the Nasdaq and in the US techs. But now that faith has been shaken after the performance of the last 1 year. As you look at some of your big holdings in that space, do you feel that some of this technology pain has already played out and the coming 2-3 years could be good again? Or have you jiggled your portfolio around as well to reduce some of those weightages?
Sure. So I think people who invested in this space, looking at past returns and expected quick returns, have been disappointed very clearly. But that was probably not the right way to look at this space. If we look at the underlying trends, which have been playing out for a very long time and which are expected to play out over the next decade as well, in my opinion, those are intact. So if we look at the habits of people or the trend shifts, people are preferring streaming media content versus linear TV. People are preferring e-commerce versus physical retail. People are going towards cloud computing instead of on-premise servers. Digital advertising is the preferred medium over traditional advertising. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the underlying trends that have played out in the past and that are continuing to play out in the future. Sure, stock prices have come down a bit. There is increased focus on profitability. There is focus on cost controls and things like that. And some of the side projects have not been looked at kindly by the markets. But these are very, very strong companies. Most of them are either monopolies or duopolies in their area of operation. And the valuations are not demanding at all. So these are somewhere around 20 times earnings, or in some cases barely double-digit price to earning multiples. So it's not that these are very expensive or these are zero growth companies or anything like that. So we are quite positive on this space going forward as well.
But what about locally, Rajiv? Because you spoke about these digital trends. They are true of India as well as they are of the US. But here, investors seem to have given a very wide berth to these digital stocks, and there is, you know the Zomatos and even the Nykas of the world these days. As a fund manager, how have you looked at Indian digital stocks compared to the US ones?
Sure, Udayan. So that's a very interesting point that you're making, and I would like to differentiate the tech space into two buckets. In one bucket, I would put companies where people see a future promise in terms of growing market share or lifetime value of a customer, but current reported earnings are either in losses or barely break even, and sales growth is typically higher. So in this space, to an extent, there is a dependence on raising fresh capital from investors, either in the private space or in the public listed markets. And that funding environment has gotten very tough over the last year or so. And this will be a moment of truth in the coming year or so, where these companies will have to quickly pivot towards showing profitability, or at least eliminating cash burn and having clarity on the path to profitability. The space where we are invested in are, I would call, somewhat mature tech space, where they have been around for a couple of decades or more, where you can value them on a conventional basis in terms of the cash flows that they are generating or in terms of the revenue that they have and things like that. So I think the companies that we own, which are the Microsoft, Alphabet, Facebooks of the world, are very, very different from, let's say, a Zomato or from a Nykaa. You have these kind of companies in the US as well. So you have things like DoorDash, etc. in the US, or Grubhub and those kind of companies. But we have stayed away from loss-making companies or companies which have a lot of cash burn, because we are not clear on what the future will look like. We are more positioned towards slightly more mature businesses.
Rajiv, how are you looking at your overall strategy right now? Given, of course, the context you've just described, of course, but would you be also adding on other pockets of the market where you see opportunity? What would be the overall balance? How are you looking at things currently?
So in the overall market, we are close to all-time highs. So it's not a cheap market in that sense. It's not a market where you can be buying indiscriminately or holding on to stocks regardless of valuations. The way I see it is that the consumption-oriented space, which has been a favorite of the markets, has been taking somewhat of a breather, given that valuations have become very, very excessive, and even where profit growth is there to some extent, the valuation does not leave any comfort for stock prices to increase. At the same time, very interestingly, a space that has been a laggard for I don't know how long, maybe a decade and a half or thereabouts, which is the PSU space, is seeing some revival of interest. So some of the tough privatization decisions are starting to be made. Air India, for example, has been privatized, and some bank mergers have been done. LIC listing happened, and there is talk of privatization of some more companies. So here we are seeing a rebound from very, very low level of stock prices and valuation, where cash flow yields are very, very high, and people are selectively looking at this space. Also BFSI space, especially the private sector banks, have had a very good run in terms of the numbers that they have reported. Balance sheets are clean, the credit costs are muted, credit growth is back, and spreads should increase given that rates are rising, and their current account, saving accounts are low cost deposit basis. So broadly in the market, there are pockets which are overvalued. We are staying away from those, and we are trying to find attractive purchases in the undervalued space.
Let's take a very quick break. On the other side, will Jet Airways be able to fly again? That's the big question.
Nothing launched its third product, the Nothing Ear Stick, and just like every other Nothing product, there's a lot of hype around this. People are saying that the Nothing Ear Sticks are not just ordinary earbuds, but a style statement in themselves. But does it mean you need to shell out 8,500 rupees for them? Or are they not really anything great? Don't worry, Tech Today has this sorted for you. From the look of it, the Nothing Ear Stick has the most unique design out there. It comes in a semi-transparent cylindrical charging case which revolves and opens like this. Very unique, isn't it? This design has made charging efficient as well. The Nothing Ear Stick lasts up to 7 hours with a full charge. It also has a quick charge feature, which means if you charge it for 10 minutes, it's going to last up to 2 hours. That's very, very interesting. The only drawback of this shape is that it does not allow wireless charging. The Nothing Ear Stick comes with an open ear design, which means it's comfortable to wear it for longer durations of time, but it does not block ambient noise. Furthermore, the open ear design does not make them the best choice if you plan on working out with them. Calling using the Nothing Ear Stick is a decent experience because it has a good enough mic. Moreover, it's easy to connect this with your cell phone via the Nothing X app, while the Nothing Ear Stick is truly a fashion statement in itself. It has a very unique design. It's also very comfortable to wear for long durations. Moreover, it also has a good battery backup. Are the Nothing Ear Sticks worth your 8,500 rupees? Do let us know in the comment section.
Welcome back. The central government all set to declare war on fake reviews on e-commerce sites. Faced with an increasing number of complaints about fake and purchase reviews, the government has announced that it will be releasing guidelines this Friday to curb this practice. The measures will focus target fake reviews and unverified star ratings for e-commerce websites, hotels and travel booking platforms, consumer durables and restaurants and eateries as well. According to the government, online consumers have no way of examining a product or service before investing in it, and they rely to a large extent on these reviews. For more on this, we're joined by Business Today TV correspondent Akanksha Chaturvedi. Akanksha, what are some of these measures that the government plans to implement?
Well, that's right, Abha. The Department of Consumer Affairs will soon be rolling out a framework to put an end to the menace of fake reviews. In fact, the Secretary of the Department of Consumer Affairs said that we can expect the framework to be out anytime next week. In fact, the Secretary also said that the Bureau of Indian Standards would also roll out a standard, to maintain uniformity and to ensure that the issue of fake reviews is being addressed properly. Well, this framework, was also in news earlier this year, around May, and there are a lot of expectations from this framework because, fake reviews have become a problem all across. People, when they try to buy products or when they try to buy services, there are these fake reviews which try to manipulate people, and that is what this framework is going to try to act upon.
All right. Do you actually, or does the industry actually expect these measures to work, Akanksha?
Well, I think it's a bit too early to comment about how effective the framework might be, because India is actually one of the first countries to roll out a framework of this sort. Although fake reviews for products and services are a menace all across the world, a EU study also highlights how problematic they become. If the reviews are for a health-related product, or if it's for an education-related product or a service. So, although the problem is all around the world, India is going to take a proactive measure. We'll have a framework which would try to curb this menace, and it would be interesting to see how much effective it would be in the time to come.
All right, thanks, Akanksha. Let's take a look at what else is making news in the corporate world. Bharti Airtel has reportedly hiked tariffs in Haryana and Orissa. The telecom major increased the price of its minimum recharge for 28-day service plan by around 57% to 155 rupees. Reports say the company is likely to hike prices similarly across the country soon. Two new listings, with Archean Chemicals listing at a premium of 11% on the NSE. The share closed the day at 458 rupees. Five-Star Business Finance also listed at a discount but rallied later in trade to close up 16 rupees at 490 rupees. Ease My Trip shares shot up 20% today after it started trading ex-dividend and ex-bonus. The company has fixed 22nd November as a record date for a bonus issue of 1:3, as well as a split of 1:2. This will result in one share being converted into 8. There are no signs of Jet Airways flying again in the near future. Chance of reviving the airline, which has been grounded for more than 3.5 years, are slowly disappearing. In the latest blow, creditors of the airline are said to be planning to sell 11 of its aircraft.
One of India's most visible brands, a top-rated airline which flew some of the most lucrative routes. An airline which within months lost its financial bearings and came barreling to earth. For the past 2 years, the new owner of the Jalan Kalrock Consortium has been trying to revive Jet Airways, and now all signs are that it may just fail. Reports say that the airline is all set to lose 11 aircraft from its fleet, with creditors increasingly frustrated with lack of progress in the execution of the resolution plan. Bankers are reportedly looking to selling 5 Boeing 777-300ER aircraft, the flagship and once the pride of Jet Airways. The other aircraft in the crosshairs are 3 Boeing 737-800s and 3 Airbus A320-200s. The news comes a weekend after reports that Jet was sending a third of its employees on leave without pay and cutting the salaries of up to half of its workforce. The company has just around 230 employees currently. The company has officially conceded that it is taking more than expected time to execute its plans. A company statement also said that some difficult but necessary near-term decisions had to be taken to manage cash flows. The airline, which was founded by Naresh Goyal, folded its wings in April 2019 following a cash crunch. Since then, it has faced insolvency proceedings sold off its Stony BKC premises and been taken over by the Jalan Kalrock Consortium. However, it has been refused the use of its precious airport slots. NCLAT approved the resolution plan in June 2021 and Jet's air operator certificate was revalidated by the airline regulator in May 2022. However, in October, the NCLAT clipped its wings by ordering it to pay the PF and gratuity dues of its employees for proceeding further. Incredibly, the Jalan Kalrock Consortium had been handed the airline for just 380 crore rupees against the 7,810 crore rupees it owed to creditors. A massive 95% haircut for banks and other investors in the company. It was not just the creditors who took the hit. Passengers who had booked tickets and employees have also not been paid fully till date. The consortium's failure to float the airline has in fact raised questions about the entire process. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
One big example of artificial intelligence coming to the rescue of the hearing impaired. A pair of spectacles have been developed by an American company which literally lets you see conversations. Let's have a look.
British reality TV star Tasha Ghauri trying out this new pair of smart sunglasses. Her reaction says it all.
Oh, my day is just literally right in front of me. That's amazing. Why am I crying?
The glasses have opened an all-new world for the actor, who could not hear or speak till the age of 5. She had to learn to speak after she got a cochlear implant as a young child.
This is great.
She went deaf again when the implant broke during a dance session when she was 16. These glasses have changed all that.
This is amazing because even with me, my cochlear implant, I struggle still. So, why am I crying?
These glasses give people a heads-up display of live, real-time subtitles of their conversations right in front of their eyes and let them rewind the chat to read it again.
Okay, let's put these glasses on then.
For Justin Osmond, unable to hear since he was 2 years old, the smart glasses open a complete new world.
Wow!
These and this phone, what's amazing is that not only can I follow everything that she's saying, even if I'm not looking up at her, if I have to look down or look elsewhere, it's all right there in front of me. And the best part about that is I can go back and read it over again, like my notes.
These glasses are more than just transcribers. They record conversations, replay the conversations you were not able to read in real time, and even translate the conversations into several other languages. The technology uses off-the-shelf augmented reality AR glasses that are tethered to a smartphone app with AI-driven software that gives the user a new kind of personal assistant. One that remembers what you have forgotten, something like Alexa for your eyes.
Imagine Alexa for your eyes. But the difference is that the information that it's retrieving, the questions that you're asking of the data are your own conversations. This is not just appealing to the deaf community, but people who are neurodiverse or have other conditions that may impact their ability to be superhumans.
The technology was invented for deaf people, inspired by the co-founder's 97-year-old grandfather's hearing loss and his subsequent difficulty joining in at family gatherings. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
And that's where we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.
बेवफाई नहीं करने का बेवफाई जितने बेवफाई करते हैं उसे पैसे मेरे को Gruesome, gory, and gut-wrenching. This is the video of a man boasting about killing his 25-year-old girlfriend and horrifyingly shows her lying in a pool of blood, her throat slit but still alive. With blaring music, he says in the video, "Bebafai nahi karne ka," meaning do not be unfaithful. An indication that he committed this crime because the victim was unfaithful.
बेवफाई नहीं करने का, बेवफाई जितने बेवफाई करते हैं कैसे मरी पड़ी है देखो।
This monster Abhijit Patidar committed this act on November 8 and he's still on the run. That is right. This murderer is yet to be nabbed, and in a video he's put out on social media, he can be heard defending himself.
शिल्पा शर्मा को खत्म करने में मेरे और मेरे पार्टनर का दोनों का हाथ है और अब इस मैटर में सिर्फ मुझे अकेले को फंसाया जा रहा है और मेरे पार्टनर से पैसों के लालच में उसने जो भी मेरे पार्टनर को ब्लैकमेल किया, इसी वजह से शिल्पा शर्मा को मैंने मारा है।
Cops have arrested the man named by Abhijit in the video as he claimed he murdered 25-year-old Shilpa on the instructions of his business